What's up, everybody, and welcome to the LionHeart podcast. Look, we're back again. We're back another week, another podcast, another subject. So, once again, I want to thank everybody who's returning, listening to the podcast. Once again, who's supporting so far. I appreciate you guys so much. Let's continue to grow as a community. If you're new and this is the first one you're listening to, then welcome. I appreciate you for joining in the LionHeart community, where we learn to become, we learn to have the heart of a lion in this jungle we call life. All right, I'm still getting the catchphrase put together and making it flow a little better. But hey, guys, today I want to keep it simple. I'm freestyling with this, but I want to just talking about enjoying life, right? Enjoying the time that you have. Nowadays, I feel like everybody gets so caught up in all these little things in life, right? We see in social media, we're seeing a whole bunch of negativity all the time. And sometimes not even negativity, it's just disagreements between people. And it causes our brains to kind of, how do I explain it? We start thinking all about all this stuff, and then we have like a negative view of the world and that everything is just terrible and everything. And I think it just has a lot of negative effects that it brings on people. But in the world, people are always going to have disagreements. Everybody's not always going to think the same. There's always going to be situations around us. But I think it's important to really remember to focus on yourself, right? Like, don't always focus on all these things that we hear all the time. But learn to enjoy the moments that you have with yourself right now, right? Like, in those situations, you can continue learning, right? Like, one big thing that's brought up all the time nowadays is things that have to do between men and women, right? Relationships. I feel like there's so many people who have disagreements, and you see all this drama portrayed all around that. And I'm not going to get too far into it, but we see there's always it's kind of like nowadays they portray it as like a battle between men and women, that were different, and that men are wanting one thing and they want to do all these things, and then women are wanting one thing to do all these things. And I feel like it's just portrayed as something negative, to where people have a negative view of it altogether, saying women are saying, oh, I hate men, this isn't going to ever work, or vice versa, the other way around. So I think it's important to realize, like, all these things in the media, it doesn't mean that's how your life is going to go, right? Like, you don't, obviously it's good to learn, right? Like I said, I'm not going to dive deep into this topic because that's not the point of this podcast. But my point is, it's good to learn from these kind of things, but don't allow it to make a negative effect of the world and life on you. Right? I think that's such an issue, and people start having such a negative view on everything in life. So they start just portraying everything as negative around them, and then in return, it makes them depressed, makes them down all the time. And I think it's just a recipe for disaster if you get caught up in all this stuff all the time. So I think it's very important to disconnect from all those things, man. Sometimes it's good to go on a detox and just get off of social media and get off of all the drama and really just focus on yourself, focus on the things that you enjoy, right? Like, I think it's so important to learn how to disconnect yourself from everything. Like, sometimes just take the time for yourself, because if you're always consumed up in all these things, then like it's it's not going to bring any positive to you. So like that's one thing that I want to tell everybody. Like, I was one of those people who was getting so caught up into everything, and it was starting to make me have a very negative view. I was always looking at the problems with everything, until I realized that it wasn't benefiting me, right? Like, I still have point of views. I have certain views on topics of the way that I think, but I don't let it consume me like I used to in the past. Nowadays, I'm focusing on the things that I can control. And I know the two things that I can control in my life is my thinking, my thoughts that are going through my head. Sometimes it's not as easy as other times, but also then my actions. Those are things that I can control. Out of all the things in this world, I know for sure the few things that I can control have to do with myself. Right? I know that I can control the work that I put in to reach where I want to go. I know that I can control, even though it's a little bit more difficult sometimes, the thoughts that are within my head and the way of thinking and my positivity that I'm able to uphold in my life. Granted, you're not going to be positive all the time. It's impossible. You're going to have those moments where your head starts doubting, or you start just having negative thoughts, or you just start feeling down and everything. Happens all the time. I get it. Happens all the time. But what I've realized in the past, I used to let all that stuff consume me. So when I was feeling down, it's like I would get into a depression, and then I would start thinking, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but all the negative things would start coming into my head. And at that point in time, I know what it was too. It was because I wasn't living the kind of life that I wanted to do. I wasn't doing what I enjoyed. I was kind of going off of what I felt everybody else's expectations were. And I realized it was a recipe for disaster until I had a panic attack. And it's a long story, but then that day ended up changing and kind of making me turn a 180 and start going a different route than I was going in the past. But I think it's so important to really look at yourself, right? View yourself, view what it is that you're doing right now. If you're feeling down and you're looking at all the negatives all the time, then evaluate yourself, examine yourself, and look at what you're doing right now, whatever it may be in life, right? If you're not happy about your situation, you're feeling down all the time, then look at yourself. Don't look at everything else. This has to do with the locus of control that I spoke about in a previous episode. Look at yourself. Don't look at all the things around you, because at the end of the day, the thing that you have control of is you. It's you. So don't look at everything else around you, but look at what you can do. Look at the things that you're doing right now and figure out the way that you're able to make changes to start changing that around. That's the best thing that you can do. That's the one thing that we all have control over. We have control over ourselves, the actions that we take, the things that we do. So once you really recognize that and realize that, you'll stop focusing on all the outside things, and you'll start focusing on what it is that you can do at this very moment. Because that's all we can control. We can't control other people, can't control other things, can't control the problems that are going on in the world right now. The one thing you can control is you. The one thing I can control is me. So what can I do right now to change my situation? To start thinking more positive on a day-to-day basis? What can I do that will help me attain my goals in a lot better way? Right? And like I said from the very beginning, I think it's so important to learn how to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. I feel like so many people are living in fear. Like a lot of people don't even want to go outside nowadays. It's like people are just stuck to their phones, stuck to social media, stuck to all these things all day long, and they're just seeing all these things, and then it shifts their perspective of the world. When in actuality, all that stuff is just like social. Like what's going on in your life right now, in real life? Not online, not on social media, not on all these platforms, but what's going on in your life? Like, I think people need to start having a shift and realize that social media is not everything. It's a good tool in situations. Like, if you're trying to build a business or you're trying to grow something out and everything, like, social media has brought a lot of good things in that way. People are able to market their own businesses and stuff like that. It's made it a lot easier to start up whatever it is that you want to do. But I think the biggest problem with it is that a lot of people don't use it for the right reasons. A lot of people are very negative on social media. And then also a lot of people just are consumed on that all the time. And what it does, it just makes them have an elevated perspective of what life is, and then they think that they're failing because they're not at the lane that these other people are at. Even though people do not show their whole lives on these social media platforms. They show like partial, it's highlights. The best way to put it is it's highlights. They're not going to post all the bad things that are happening in their lives. No, they're posting the highlights. They're posting the good times. So I think so many people get consumed up on the social media all the time, and it makes a lot of bad outcomes for people. It makes people depressed. It makes people not do anything because they're so consumed into all these things all the time. And people end up wasting so much time just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling pointlessly, when you could be using that time to be a lot more effective. Right? Like that's the way that I think of it. Like, I've had to myself, there was a point in time where I realized, I was like, yo, I need to get off of all this stuff. And there was a period of like, I think it was almost a year, that I had deleted my Instagram. I deleted, honestly, Instagram's the main one that I used. And I deleted it and everything, and I just kind of separated myself from everything. And I remember during that period of time, that was when I was just a lot more at peace with everything that was going on, because I wasn't looking at everybody else's lives every 5 minutes and seeing what everybody else was doing. But instead, I was able to just focus on myself. Now, granted, that was a little while ago, and it helped me out though. It definitely, and nowadays, I barely even like going on those things, because I know that I could be doing something. I use it more so for my businesses, right? To be able to help people. That's the main thing that I want to be able to do, and that's why I started this podcast. That's why I'm doing everything that I'm working on right now. I want to be able to help people through all these things. I don't want to be consumed into everything that's on social media, but I want to use it to be able to help everybody that I possibly can. That's the perspective change that I've had when it comes to social media. So, anyways, this kind of like switched over into this. But my point is, enjoy the time that you have, right? Enjoy the time around you. Like, do what it is that you want to do. Like I said before, you have to work hard for the things that you want to do. And you want to try to make whatever you love to do into a thing that you can make income from. If you can, turn that into something that you can start doing for income, right? Provide value, and income comes in return. But even with that, just start enjoying your time. Just the simple things in life, man. Spending time with the people you love. Just like simple things like that can make such a huge impact on your life. Right? Just pushing yourself beyond limits sometimes can be the thing that you need to be able to do on a daily basis. Right? Like, I know me, one thing that I find fun is like playing basketball. I'm not amazing, but I like trying to get better at it every single day. Not every single day, sorry. But I like trying to get better at it because I'm very competitive. So like when people beat me, I don't like it. So am I ever going to be a professional basketball player? No. I'm short. I'll look like a midget in front of all those NBA players out there. But I like to do that because it helps me to be able to just perform and try to be better myself into something. And also it helps me just be able to challenge myself in something that is difficult. I'm out there sweating. I'm out there putting in the work to try to get better. I'm over here going against people, getting beat, getting cut up because I'm over here trying to like press them up in the paint, people that are bigger than me. So challenging yourself, right? That's what I find enjoyable. So guess what? I try to do that every now and then to be able to keep that enjoyment in life. I think it's so important, and people I think nowadays, like a toxic type of thing has been given out where people are like, yo, you shouldn't be having fun. You need to work, 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 work until you reach your goals. This type of thing. Like, I I don't agree with that, because if you're gonna burn yourself out if you're just working, 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 and not enjoying anything that you're doing. You will burn yourself out. Another thing that I don't agree with that people are preaching and stuff is that, like, oh, you shouldn't be sleeping if you don't have your goals. Like, you need to be sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, 3 hours a night, and stuff. And my my thoughts on this is that you're gonna burn yourself out if you're going with no rest, no joy, like, without all these things. You're gonna burn yourself out. We've seen it happen with people. People burn out and not keeping track of your mental health, right? We've seen some of the most successful people at the top of their industries. It seems like they have everything, that they should be so happy with everything that they have. And in the end, they end up committing suicide, taking their own life, because their mental health was all messed up. It seemed like they had the life that everybody wanted, but they weren't happy in themselves. I think that's so important to look at and pay attention to. Realize that these things don't bring joy. It's important to reach success in whatever it is that you want to do, right? Like, it's good to have a goal and go towards it, but you have to make sure that you're happy along the way, taking care of your mental health. Take time for yourself every day. Learn to take care of yourself. Learn to be able to appreciate yourself each and every day. Learn to enjoy the times when you're able to enjoy the moments that you have. Like I said, spend time with the loved ones around you. Like, really try to enjoy everything. Make sure you're getting proper rest. I describe this body as like a machine. This machine could take you very far. But if you don't take care of it, you're not getting enough rest, you're not doing what you need to do, eating properly, drinking water, all the simple things that we know what we need to do. If you're not doing that properly with this machine, your body, then it's not going to be able to take you as far as it should have. That's something that I don't agree with a lot of people, because a lot of people, with all these things that they say, work, 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 don't sleep, they're basically telling you to neglect your body, neglect your mental health, all these different things. I don't agree with that at all. You got to take care of yourself. You have to work hard. If you have a goal that's up there as a difficult goal, you're going to have to work hard. That's not what I'm saying. But make sure that you're taking care of your mental health, your physical health, everything all together. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, because, like I said, this is the machine that's going to take you far. And you have to make sure that you're enjoying the way that you're going as well. Don't let life overcome you to the point where you're getting to these moments where you're super depressed and down. All these things. Like, sometimes, like I said, it's difficult to avoid. Everybody hits those moments where you're down and everything just feels impossible. It's unavoidable. It's in human nature. It's gonna happen to everybody. If it hasn't happened to you yet, most likely it's gonna end up happening at some point. But everybody reached those moments. But you have to be the one to really start putting everything into place. Take care of yourself. Take time for yourself. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical. Do whatever you gotta do. Pray, meditate. Do whatever it is that you need to do to calm yourself down and to bring yourself back into reality, into the things that you can control. Really start to focus on yourself, right? This episode was kind of all over the place. I know I kind of went everywhere. I was really freestyling this out, but I think next week I have an idea of what I want to speak about in the next episode. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna leave it there for today. I want everybody to really enjoy the time that you have, right? Whether it's with yourself, with your loved ones. Really start to focus on you. Focus on your mental health, right? So many people say, like, people have the mentality that if I care for myself, then that's selfish. I should be using that time for other people. But the way that I look at it is, if you're not in a good situation, if your head is not in the right place, then you can't help anybody anyways. If you are not in the right position, if your headspace is depressed and down all the time, then you have no way of helping other people because you yourself need to be helped. So if you keep track of yourself and you learn to care for yourself the way that you want to care for other people, then you will be able to bring a lot more of an impact towards the people around you. Only once you take care of yourself and you put yourself in a good headspace, in a good situation. So remember that. Remember that you are worth a lot. Right? No matter what other people say, you are worth something. You're important. Everybody in this life is important. Then don't let anybody tell you different. And don't let yourself tell you different. Because a lot of people tell themselves that they don't matter inside their own heads in different ways. So make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your body, and enjoy the moments that you have around you so you can continue in life and you can bring value to everybody around you. Once again, I appreciate everybody who's listening to this podcast, returning listeners, people who are listening to this for the first time. I appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, like I said, I want to continue to grow this community. I'm going to keep doing this podcast weekly, every Monday. This podcast comes out. Every 10 a.m. is usually when it comes out. This one's probably going to come out a little bit later because I'm recording this Monday morning. So the day that this comes out. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for listening. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.